hope with the east side breed. Everybody wanna when I reach my peak, cause the bars and the hooks and the beats by me say more y'all hate.
What is up, fellas? So, few things have changed. I don't own a Mustang anymore. I don't own a 6-speed car anymore. And we're sitting in a Datsun. So we should probably talk about that. So yeah, all kinds of new things here. Brief introductions. This is a 2014 Nissan 370Z. And it's a bit of a story of how this car came to be. So before we talk about this car, let me throw you back to Pat, because I'm sure you're a little confused. Let's go back to Pastane, who actually still owns that crappy V6 Mustang, and I'll let you know, well, he'll let you know what he thinks of it. Oh, hey there, future Dane. Good luck with the Z. Hope you don't make any more dumbass mistakes like this car. But since I'm taking over this video now, let me walk you through everything wrong with this car. I was super candid about this whole thing, but now the car's going away, I don't care. So let's start at the front. So I have a Colt, I don't care. So at the front, this bumper, I was like, oh yeah, it's a little faded. No, literally, this, I don't know, yeah, oh yeah, you could see it. If the Grand Canyon was blue, it would look a little like this. Look, from like microfibers, yeah, yep. Grill's ugly, it still has a stain in it where the Shelby logo used to be. Let's see, the hood is bubbling right there. Listen, my whole attitude's changed about this car now that I know it's going away. Okay, so those first two things. Moving along to the side of the car, that stupid dent. Who cares about that? Let's see, holes, because where the Shelby logos are, we put these cheap little Power by 4 things on it and they're falling apart. Hold on, we're not even done with the front yet. The steering rack makes a weird thud noise anytime you go any degree off of center. The brakes are mush. We firstly thought it was the pads. That didn't fix it. Then we thought it was the fluid, because the fluid looked really bad. So we drained the fluid, re-bled the brakes, we put fresh fluid in it. That wasn't it, so now it's either maybe a brake booster or it's a master cylinder. Not quite sure, don't care at this point. Still has a check engine light on. I don't even know if I told you guys about that. For an O2 sensor, get this, that we replaced. All 4 of them. Weren't sure which one it was. We went ahead and replaced all 4. Same check engine light, still says the front and left O2 sensor. Don't feel like dealing with that. Moving on to the back. The rear end is starting to make a whiny noise. I don't know if the gears are going bad or if it just needs the rear end fluid changed, but you start turning slow left and right, rear end starts making noise. And then for party piece, back bumper, similar story to the front bumper. Gonna be need to replace and repaint it. So, let's talk. We're not even gonna face the car. You guys can see the lake because the lake's prettier than that car is. I don't want to be super mean to it. It's not the car's fault. It's the 2 previous owners of this car's fault, and then thirdly, it's my fault for being so impatient in choosing this car. Before I had my Coyote, my last car was a 2012 Mustang V6. It was Kona blue and it had a black interior. It was a 6-speed. So this car kind of checked all the boxes. Let's turn around so you guys can see me. Car kind of checked all the boxes. There's a cute little bench. Let's come sit over here. So the car kind of checked all the boxes in terms of specs of what I was looking for. I couldn't really find anything else that I was kind of looking at, and so I was like, you know what, let's go for this car. It was kind of what I was looking for, and there was a few things that he told me about that the previous owner told me, but he's a nice guy, so I don't want to dog on him too much. He also wasn't a big car guy though, so I don't think he really knew about everything that was wrong with it. But you know, it's what you get with used cars. I understand I'm gonna lose money on this car. I've had it for 2 months, not even. I'm going full Riley Piper. And I understand I'm gonna lose money on it, but the way I see it is there's so much that needs fixed on that car that I would rather lose the money trading it in on a better car. Come on, focus up on me. I would rather lose the money trading it in on a better car than I would spending on this car to fix it, wait for something else to go wrong, and then the car only be worth maybe another $500, $1,000 than the dealership's gonna give me right now for it. I am trading it in, and well, you guys obviously know that because assuming this is the day before I'm supposed to pick up the Z, so assuming this video comes out that means I must have gotten the Z. So, back to smarter Dane. Don't make any more dumb decisions, you little bit. Thanks, past Dane. Sorry to annoy you, sir. But anyways, guys, yeah. So long story short, Mustang was falling apart. And now, before I dog on it too much more, it wasn't the car's fault. I don't want to sit here and pretend that 11 to 14 generation V6 Mustang was bad, because it wasn't, because when I had my first one, it was very, very good. And the reason I bought that blue one was it was virtually a carbon copy of my first car. It was Kona blue, it was black on the inside, it was a 6-speed, the only difference being it was a premium car, and it only had 55,000 miles on it. I was pumped for that car. But it goes to show you, and I'm gonna, tie this into the Z here, it's not so much how many miles a car has, it's more how the car was taken care of during those miles. And the short of it was that Mustang was not taken care of at all. At all. It's a terrible car. Buy an 11 to 14 V6 Mustang, yes. Don't buy that one. If anybody sees, you guys know what it looks like now. If anybody finds that car for sale, stay far away. That car was just not taken care of. And to the point for me, here, let's do a little. Yes, I know it'll do it automatically for me. But the deal with that Mustang was there was just a lot of crap wrong with it. And it was, it was a cheap car to begin with, so it was kind of getting to the point for me as I was like adding up everything that was wrong with it. It was either like, okay, do I put, $2-3 grand into it to get everything fixed, hope everything gets fixed, and then it'd only be worth a few $100 more than I would have sold it with everything wrong. And so I kind of just did the math in my head, and it made more sense financially to sell the car, let it be somebody else's problem, or hopefully go to a junkyard, but let it be somebody else's problem and get myself into a car that's a lot more reliable, that I trust a lot more, and that is just ultimately better. Now, I'm not gonna say, cool or anything, because that's gonna, I feel personally, I think this car is way cooler. But I just wanted to get myself into a much better car. So this isn't going to be a full review of this car. We're going to do a full in-depth review later, but I wanted to introduce it to you guys because I'm starting to really enjoy it. But first, let's pull onto our main road here and see how it does. And here we go. So we're in first gear. We're going to point it straight and... pretty good. Way better than the last car. So I guess let me dive into a couple whys for you guys real quick. One, why a 370Z? I've always had a crush on these cars. I've always thought they looked amazing from any angle, but the side profile is what does it for me. It's real tight and compact, and it's got that real swoopy roof line, and I've always just really liked the way this car looks. Caveat that I've always liked the way this car looks in a certain spec with the touring package on it. I love these raised wheels. I love the way the brakes look on this car, and this is the way I have this is the only way that I would have bought this car. And so I started doing some shopping, and I started seeing what I could find. And I guess a little history lesson for you guys real quick. Mustangs have pretty much been all I've ever owned since I turned 18. I've had 5 different Mustangs, and that's all I've ever had. Well, my dad growing up was the opposite. He had 240Zs, 260Zs, 280Zs, 300ZX. My grandfather, who has a Corvette now, had a 300ZX twin turbo. So Z cars kind of run in the family, and I've never had one. And so we went and looked at this one, and my dad just completely fell in love with it. He keeps telling me that he wants to buy it from me. He really has a thing for Z cars. And when I was shopping, it's like, I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I need you guys to know that we're gonna go fast to get along. At the end of the day, a GT350 is still where I want to end up. That's still a car that I love. It holds my heart. I've driven it. I fell in love with it. It is as close as I'm going to get to a supercar at the moment. So that's very much a car that is in my near future. So don't think that because I bought this, I'm just going to completely 180 the way I think, and I no longer care about Mustangs anymore. I love Mustangs. Always have a huge place in my heart. It's going to be the next car that I buy is going to be a Mustang. But in the meantime, I was like, man, what if I did something different? If I'm going to do something different, I might as well do something really different. And I've never had a tuner car before. I've never had, something foreign made. I've never had kind of that different experience before. So I decided to go way different. I went for a Nissan. I went for a two-seater. I've never had a two-seater car before. I went for a two-seater. And then I got the automatic. Not gonna spend too much time on this because, just real quick, I went and drove a 6-speed car and I liked it. I didn't love it. The shifter felt kind of rubbery, not very notchy. You had to kind of just pop it into gear, and I really didn't like the clutch. I know a lot of people say it's something you get used to, and I get it. I know I would get used to the clutch, but I really didn't like it. I went and drove the 7-speed automatic, and I freaking fell in love with it. It's a very, very good transmission. It reminds me, for you Mopar guys, it reminds me of the 8-speed that you get, in a Challenger or a Charger. The kind of, Scat Pack. It's very, very quick, very intuitive. It always kind of has you in the right gear. And yeah, I'm not gonna sit and make a million excuses for it. I picked an automatic because I really liked the way it drove. Granted, I've only had the car for a couple weeks now, but I haven't gotten bored with it. I still like the way it drives. And as of right now, if I were to do it all again, I would buy this automatic again. I know, same thing with the Mustang, you have to buy it with a 6-speed. And listen, I'm a diehard 6-speed guy. I've driven a manual car since I could drive. But there's just something about this automatic and these big paddles that's just a lot of fun, and I really like it. So yeah, you don't like it, bite me. Man, other than that, I love the way it drives. It's very tight. Like, the steering is very heavily weighted, and it took some getting used to it first. And then, the throttle response is very, very abrupt. The brakes are touchy. The steering is very tight. There's barely any body roll at all. It just feels like a sports car. It feels very purposeful. And the cool part is, because Nissan hasn't redesigned this thing in ever, this is the current body style. This is a 2014, so it's post facelift, about 330-ish horsepower, and I'll tell you what, it feels like an awful lot more than that. Car's pretty light. Car's 3,400 pounds. So the car doesn't weigh a whole lot, and you can really feel that. It feels much quicker in person than it does on paper. I feel like that was a common thing. I know one thing Doug DeMuro said, he really thought the car felt a lot quicker than it actually probably should have, and I agree with that. Brand new, I still think this is not the right car to buy. I feel like it's very outdated for a 2019, 2020 car, but for a 2014 buying used, I love it. So to go back to talking about miles real quick, the Mustang had 55,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it was 55, I can only imagine, just terrible, poorly maintained miles. This car is the opposite. Now, just bear with me for a second. This car has, and you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you, 108,000 miles on it. And I was unsure about it at first, and the reason I went and looked at this car, it was, well, one, it was the only spec that I wanted. I wanted this midnight blue, I wanted the raised wheels and the big brakes, and I wanted an automatic car. And this was the only one in Houston that I could find, and I was skeptical about the miles on it at first, and we went and drove it, and man, like I said, if I didn't tell you it had 108,000, you wouldn't know. It's beautiful on the outside, beautiful on the inside. There's a few rock chips on the hood, higher mileage to be expected. Actually, while my dad and I were test driving this thing, I found some of the registration paperwork from the original owner of the car, and his phone number was on there. So I called the guy, and he was a little old man. I don't know what he looked like. I assume he was little because the seat's in pretty good condition. I figured if he's a guy like me, I'll probably destroy this seat eventually. But no, little old man. He definitely sounded considerably older than I am, obviously. Said he lived in Hempstead. He drove about 100 miles a day to work, so that was why it has so many miles on it. He said he babied the crap out of the car. He always got it serviced at Nissan, and the Carfax showed that. And he said he never had a problem with it. He said he bought it brand new. He said he never played with the paddles because he didn't even know how they worked. So someone who just really liked the way it looked, lived its whole life in the garage, and he said he traded it in on a newer one. He said he went out and he bought the 2018. So he went out and bought the same car, but he just wanted to get a different one in a different color. And so all the maintenance was there. The car looked fantastic, drove fantastic, super smooth. And then to top it off, it's a Nissan. It's gonna last a long time. And so yeah, I mean, so we're gonna do the full review on this a different day. I just wanted to introduce you guys to this car and let me know what you think. Like I said, big departure from the Mustang world. I'm gonna miss it a little bit, not a lot of bit. I mean, we'll be back in it eventually, but there's some things about the Mustang world that I didn't like. I'm sure there's gonna be things about the tuner car world I don't like as well. But for right now, I'm absolutely in love. I love this car. It's plenty quick. It's very comfortable. It's even not terribly impractical, even though it's only got 2 seats. I've been able to fit a good amount of stuff in it. And yeah. It's my new car. So let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching the video. And I imagine there's gonna be a lot of videos with this car because it's a very different car for me. So there'll be a lot of new experiences. And anyways, guys, I appreciate the crap out of you guys. Sorry I got rid of the Mustang so fast, but it was a god-awful car. And but this one feels a lot more better, a lot more put together than that car did. And I'm excited, man. So I will catch you guys in the next video. If all things go right, this video will be up on Christmas Day. So if you're watching this on Christmas, Merry Christmas, and this is kind of my present to myself. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Let me know what you guys want to know about this car, what videos you'd like to see, blah, blah, blah. Whole nine. See you later. Bye.